Welcome back to Unchained Minds. Today we're diving into a topic that's everywhere, but often overlooked: homelessness. We walk past it every day, but how often do we stop to ask, why is this happening and what can be done? This video isn't about blame, it's about understanding, awareness, and solutions. Reality. Right now, over 500,000 people in the United States experience homelessness on any given night. That's men, women, children, veterans, and families sleeping in cars, shelters, tents, or sometimes with no shelter at all. It's easy to stereotype homelessness as laziness or bad choices, but the reality is far more complex. People lose housing because of skyrocketing rent, job loss, medical bills, domestic violence, or mental health struggles. Many are just one paycheck away from being on the streets themselves.
Basic survival. So like a family of four, two parents, two kids, living off of $31,000 a year or less. That's considered poverty in the United States, and there's millions of people who live with that kind of income. The US government spends about $1 trillion every year helping these people meet their basic needs. In recent decades, a lot of that money has been flowing through a middleman, private corporations who are supposed to be more efficient in administering this money.
So welfare is big business, and of course that's the irony of this whole thing, that there's so much money to be made from poverty.
Breaking the stigma. When we hear the word homeless, too often we think only of addiction or crime. But the truth is, most people experiencing homelessness want stability, dignity, and a chance to rebuild. Imagine losing your job, then your apartment, and then being judged daily for circumstances out of your control. Homelessness isn't just a financial crisis, it's also an emotional one. The isolation, the lack of safety, and the struggle to be seen as human, it takes a huge toll.
That the poverty rate was double what it is today. It's like 22%. This was really bad, and it led to the president at the time declaring war.
And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America. We shall not rest until that war is won.
So, A War on Poverty by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964. This is what that war looked like. This big line. This is social spending as a share of GDP. You can see this is where he gives this speech right here, this flat line. Social spending just skyrockets right after. The government spends tons of money for this war on poverty. That money goes towards programs like Medicare and Medicaid, food stamps, public education, which is why you see this big dip. 22% all the way down to 13%. And for a time, all this spending worked. Poverty declined 30% in 5 years. But eventually, progress slowed, and the government kept spending, and people got tired of it. The economy wasn't doing well, and people were tired of subsidizing these welfare programs. And that's where this guy comes in.
My friends, some years ago, the federal government declared war on poverty, and poverty won.
This is where things start to get a little bit murky, so we needed help. We got it from Ann Kim, who is an expert who literally wrote the book on this history and the modern day poverty economy, and sat down with us to talk through this history and how it works today.
Remember during the 1980s, we had this, well, no, you don't remember the 1980s. Well, during the 1980s, there was really this mythologization, if that's a word, of the CEO. At the same time, the government spending was ballooning. Economic times were not that great. So Americans were not feeling particularly generous about funding social services programs. And so the CEOs were really kind of held up on a pedestal as the ones who are going to make government just as efficient as they made their own companies.
Poverty is a big business here in the United States, and the government is making decisions right now that will affect millions of people. And yet, what I've been finding is it's hard to keep up on all of this, how this stuff is being reported, and what is trustworthy and factual. Lately, Medicaid portals have been shutting down in all 50 states, thanks to a Trump administration funding freeze. This could result in millions of Americans, low-income Americans, going without care. This is huge, and it's not really being reported on. And when there's no accountability, bad policies can go unchecked.
So what's fueling the rise in homelessness? Housing costs, rent increases faster than wages, mental health and addiction with limited access to affordable treatment, system gaps, foster care exits, veterans without support, underfunded shelters, natural disasters and displacement fires, floods, and hurricanes force families into homelessness overnight. It's not one single problem, it's a web of challenges that stack up against vulnerable people. Homelessness isn't someone else's problem, it's a reflection of how society treats its most vulnerable. The first step is awareness, the next step is action. So I want to hear from you. What state are you in? And what does homelessness look like where you live? What are your biggest concerns? Drop a comment below. The more we share, the more we learn, and the more connected we become. Let's build this conversation together, because change doesn't start with one voice, it starts with all of us standing together. This is Unchained Minds. Knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is true effectiveness.